Hi, my name is Michael S Garner, and I want to give my review of the final episode of Picard Season 1. I've done a couple of reviews of Picard thus far. The first episode and the episode that premiered Deanna Troi and Riker. Loved it. There's a lot I like about this show and a lot I don't like about this show, and I'm a longtime Star Trek fan. I would have liked to have reviewed every single episode, but then I started to think about it. What can I talk about in every single episode except for nitpick things or say little things that I may possibly like about it? So after that episode, I waited until the series final so that I can actually go through everything. So basically, here's my review for the final season of Star Trek Picard Season 1 and things that happened thus far since the episode with Deanna and Riker. I'm going to kind of go through some of the bad stuff first, then the good stuff, and where I hope the next season will go to. First thing I want to mention with the bad stuff would be the synthetics. What the heck are they? They're on a planet that has a lot of forest. Again, another forest planet. But it basically looks like a mansion on top of a Hollywood Hills. And they're all dressed down, very skimpy clothing, and they look like they're from the forest, like they're forest creatures. I don't understand that. It's supposed to be synths. They're supposed to be almost androids like Data was. What is with this? It reminded me of Star Trek The Next Generation, first season. There was an episode where they went to a planet that was being hovered by this god, which the god was basically a starship that was basically caught in between our dimension and another dimension, so it was fractaled, and it was just kind of like this haze above the planet, and it protected the planet. And the people of the planet were all free will, love sex, do anything you want, and they were all scantily clad. That's what this reminded me of. I don't understand, when they made these synths and they wanted to make them reminiscent or look like Data, why is it the fact that they painted their faces like Data and gave him gave them all the yellow contact lenses, but they didn't do anything with their skin? If you're gonna make characters that are showing so much skin, they gotta at least look somewhat like that skin is related to their face. It just looked like, what did they just stop? Did this run out of makeup? I mean, this show has a lot of money. Why aren't you using it? There was a scene in this final episode where we basically had, I can't remember his name, Lenore, whatever his name is. People are calling him Space Legolas, which I kind of have to agree, because I don't understand why he's in this series. I like him, but I don't understand why there's this guy running around with a sword in a Star Trek series. Okay, him and the hot guy who's a Romulan, who's dating, not Daj, what's the other one? What are we on now? Oh yeah, Soji. Dating Soji, betrayed Soji, when they both attacked the homeless of the synths by punching them, kicking them, throwing them all over the place. If they're anything like Data, I don't understand why they were even able to do that to them. Because their hands would be broken. Did they make the synths really soft skin, like Daj and maybe Soji? But I just don't understand that. They were able to manhandle them like nothing. Eventually they got taken down, but I just don't even understand how they even got to the point where they could actually attack them like that. Case in point, there was an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where a Klingon approached Data for a battle because he heard that Data had, super strength and everything like that. It was an episode that kind of confused me because I'm like, he's an android. This should be a given in this universe. But he decided to challenge Data, and I believe that he went to punch him, nothing worked, and then he went to headbutt Data. And when he headbutt Data, he himself fell back because Data was basically a solid rock. So why the hell? Synthetics, I know forest creature synthetics, but now they have orchids to protect the planet. I don't even understand this. They just get these giant orchids, synthesize them, they float for some reason way through the stratosphere, out of the planet's atmosphere, and protect the planet. I don't understand this at all. I'll give it one thing though, it kind of looks cool. It really does. Lastly, about this episode, that kind of annoyed me right off the bat was Commodore O, who looked like she was going to be a very deep, retrospective type character, and then she just basically turned out to be a twirling mustache villain. She was acting in that very last episode like she was a cartoon villain. No offense to cartoons. I love cartoons. But I meant cartoons at before the early 80s, when there was any seriousness to them whatsoever. And it was just so cartoony, we have to destroy them now, eradicate the planet, siphon all them away. It was really odd from the take that we got from Commodore O in the beginning, even prior to us knowing that she was a villain, up until now. And now here we go on to the good part of what I thought thus far Star Trek Picard. 7 of 9. In a previous video I said, that is not 7 of 9. It looks like Seven of Nine. It's the actress that plays Seven of Nine, but that is not Seven of Nine. It's a very different take on what Seven of Nine is. And I gave the excuse of the fact that we don't know what's happened to her in between the timeline. So I gave that slack. Now, I've kind of been turned by this last episode by going, I kind of like badass Seven of Nine. I mean, what can you like? She was always a badass in her way. She's a badass mentally, but not in a physical way that she is now. And I kind of like it now. And obviously, much like everybody, I didn't read any reviews on this, but I loved it when Riker showed up. The only complaint that I had when Riker showed up was the fact that every single ship that he brought along with him to battle the Tal Shiar, they all look the same. Star Trek ships are supposed to look different in some type of fundamental way. The basic design structure is always there. We have the saucer section, then we have the smaller part of it, or sometimes the smaller parts are connected to the saucer section, but they all looked exactly the same. Like they basically just like used one ship for that whole armada. And that pizza comment that he gave Picard when he basically said, would you expect me to stay at home making pizza in the forest? Love that one. That was perfect. I was actually kind of sad when we got to the point where we knew Captain Picard was going to die. Was going to die. But the first thing that came to my head, which ended up happening in this episode, was the fact that he's on a world of synthetics. Great-great-grandson of Dr. Union Soom, the person who created Data. He was creating synthetics like nothing. He was basically like grafting their brains, reproducing them, and making a new one. So the first thing I thought of, are you going to make Picard into a synth? And I was right. That's what they did. So I wasn't really surprised there. I was kind of annoyed, though, when they said that they didn't give him any superpowers like Data had. They didn't give him super strength, speed, or semi-invulnerability, or whatever they may have. But I kind of want to see a super Picard next season. You know, like, or, yeah, we worry about him, but he can still jump over a mountain. Because, as I said in the previous video, Data is one of my favorite characters in Star Trek. He always has been ever since day one when I watched the first episode of Next Generation, the pilot, when it premiered, when I was a kid. So I was kind of sad that I had to basically go through the whole loss again of him dying, knowing that he was technically out there, not physically, but mentally, in a framework. And that whole scene with him and Picard actually did make me tear up. But then, like I said, I knew that Picard was going to come. There's no way he's going to come back. They already proved a second season. So, yeah, it was a touching scene, and it did get to me. So all in all, I did like this last episode of Picard, and I did in a whole like the whole season of Star Trek Picard. I don't necessarily think that it's true to the Next Generation vibe. I really don't, honestly. But I'm just happy to have the characters back and the occasional cameos from like Riker and Deanna. I can't wait to see like a Geordi or a Worf or anybody else next season. But one of the things that I really do want to see for next season is what happened with Seven of Nine in those years after she came back from the other quadrant with Voyager, and how she had a relationship with Picard. We're supposed to just accept the fact that they have a relationship now. We never got to see Captain Picard interact with her. So I really want to see where that goes to, and I just really want to see the history of that and to delve a little bit into that character. And by the way, did you see that little scene where her and Raffi were at the table and they're canoodling hands? It kind of looked like the 7 and 9. The 709, is she? Wow. Especially with the Chakotay thing, I was just like, maybe she's both? I have no idea. Want that explored. In the end, we kind of basically got to see the whole crew together on the ship. We got to see Soji, we got to see Raffi, Agnes, the captain, Captain Picard, and we got to see 7 of 9. And I'm like, is this going to be the crew? If this is going to be the crew, even though, honestly, I don't have a lot of love for them yet. I like the actors and everything like that, and I do like the idea of it, but I accept that crew. I like that crew. I think they did a good job, and I can't wait to see what the next season will go to. Like I said, don't love the season 100%. Don't love this show 100%, but I'm a Star Trek nerd, so I really can't wait until next season. And once again, my name is Michael S Garner. I draw my own online comic book. It's basically, you can get it digitally. You can see it online. You can see it at magicloud.com. You can get a copy of it there, or if you want to actually just read it online, you can do that, or get a physical copy in your hands. But I just do comic book related reviews of TV shows and movies sometimes, and obviously sci-fi. And I gotta do Star Trek because I love Star Trek. So until next time, hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe with everything that's going on, and get on it. Watch Star Trek Picard.